quality goods.
Excuse me.
Greetings. What do you need?
You must be Franta Cooldown.
I am. And who might you be?
I'm Henry. I heard you're supposed to serve at the City Council Assembly.
I am. What's it to you?
Supposing I took the job on for you. You can put your feet up, fill your belly, and I'll do all the work for you.
Look here. It's not like I'm all that keen on it, but it's well paid. Apart from that, it's a bit of a pain in the arse. Them councillors stuffing their faces and guzzling wine, while I run around like a bugger with pictures so they don't run dry. Why would you want to stick your nose in there?
I want to see the king in the flesh.
Why's that?
Well, I heard a lot about him. How he won lots of battles, how he's courageous, just...
And as bad-tempered as the devil. He's got the councillors shitting themselves, fearing what's coming at this assembly. The more I think about it, the happier I am about not having to be there. To begin with, you'll need confirmation that you've worked as a waiter at the council and you're capable of serving even His Majesty. Look here. Do you have any idea what's expected of you? Can you tell different wines apart and that?
Of course. Who do you take me for?
All right. No need to get upset. Show the confirmation to the head butler. Tell him I sent you and think up some good excuse. Clear?
That makes sense.
And you'll need a waiter's livery. I had a brand new one made. Here it is. I look like a prick in it. Hopefully it'll sit better on you. The main thing is, don't lose it before the assembly or get it covered in shit.
Thanks. I won't disgrace you, I promise.
You better not. Farewell, my friend.
Franta Cooldown sent me. I'm to stand in for him at the council assembly.
Franta's not coming? What's wrong with him?
He got poisoned. Probably from food. He's writhing in agony. By turns praying and cursing, spewing from both ends.
Oh, that's enough. All right. At least you're here. We can't be without a waiter here, when the king himself will need waiting on. So, let's have a look at you. Have you got Franta's certificate?
Sure. There is.
Everything's in order. Now, about your livery. You've got a waiter's cap, a tunic you have. Hose are good. It's a good thing you've got no steel on you. You need to be light on your feet to run around tables. Everything as it should be. Glad to see it, lad. Do you know what your duties are? For an inexperienced greenhorn like you, it'll be a great responsibility.
Well, I'll happily listen to any advice. I wouldn't want to foul things up.
I should certainly hope not. Now listen. A good waiter should stand in a corner, look willing and ready, and not get in anyone's way. In short, behave as if you're not there. But when one of the gentlemen calls for wine, you run and pour it for him on the double. You'll find the pitchers on a table by the door to the chapel. You take one and go to their table and pour for them. White Tokai or red monastery wine.
White or red, by the door to the chapel. Got it.
But for Councillor Adam of Zarzhitz, you must not pour at all. When he drinks, he disrupts and makes trouble. so the assembly has to be interrupted, or otherwise it never reaches an end. We can't allow that to happen in the presence of the king.
All right. Sir Adam of Zarjit stays dry.
And if the king himself wants wine, you pour for him with lowered eyes. Don't look at him. And the most important thing?
To stay in the background and keep quiet until someone asks me something.
Correct. The councillors have a lot to discuss, and they certainly don't need any interruptions. And in general, a good waiter has to be invisible, blind, and deaf.
Oh? I thought I had to keep my ears pricked.
Well, yes, but only to what anyone wants from you. No excuses, and provide everything that anyone wants from you. Understood?
Absolutely. I'm a waiter, after all. Not some street gossip monger.
Correct. And if you manage not to botch it up, you can even rise on the social ladder. Not just anyone can serve the King of Hungary, but you'll manage it, right?
I know everything I need to. I can do it.
Excellent. Put away your things here. It's easier to serve with a lighter load. You can wait in the cubbyhole for the servants.
Our current Waffenarsenal is a joke, and on top of that, the army was requisitioning from it. Should the town reserve have worse weapons than any Räuber in the domain?
Boy, I'd like
What are
some
you
white.
getting at, Eldris?
I'm saying that the bandits who freed Hinnick, the Dry Devil, used that thing. That Hackenbücher. Hand cannon. Can you believe it? Where
Boy,
did they get them?
Are you deaf or something?
You're the one
Why?
who should know where they
White.
got them.
Wine.
Since you're a
I'll be right
gunsmith.
back.
What are you implying, Friedrich? All I'm saying is that they had them, Herrgott. It is eine Schande when outlaws have better weapons than the city garrison. And Herr König surely knows this too.
Boy,
What is
are
it,
you deaf
Eldris?
or something?
You
Why?
smell a deal?
White.
What I smell is that your stubborn heads do not realize what Schwierigkeiten this is. The Dry Devil is running free. There are Raubritter everywhere in the region.
Sir?
We have the army bearing down, and you want to defend yourselves.
Thank you, waiter.
With a few rusty halberds.
And who is it you want to fight? Exactly. The merciful
I'm
King
sorry.
Sigismund is
I
providing
wasn't
us
paying
with
attention.
protection, Isn't he?
Der König and his army will not be here forever.
Shut up! The king can arrive at any moment.
Waiter, pour me
if he
some
heard
monastery wine.
What then? We're sitting atop the biggest silver heap in the kingdom, and we're supposed to defend it with brooms?
You're right, Eldris. But where can we get the coin for better equipment?
Monastery
You
wine.
can always
Here.
confiscate the property of the king's enemies, nicht wahr?
We are more than familiar with the jämmerlich state of our
Well,
armory.
thank the Lord.
The king is surely aware of it as well. Maybe if he waived some of the taxes?
The king fears that this town will rise against him. He'll take the arming of the city's militia as a preparation for war.
So you suggest we just wait with arms crossed for the Hauptritter
and a full
to wreak havoc all around?
I'm sorry.
We can always
I wasn't
ask
paying
the king
attention.
to bring order to the realm with his army.
But then the Dörfler will rise up.
I'm afraid I see no solution of the current situation. We shall wait Hey, and see where's my what white? His Majesty thinks about the matter. Maybe we can change his mind. Vielleicht?
Hey, where's my white?
Sir?
Well, thank the Lord.
I'd like to report to the Honorable Council on the cleanliness of the city and the state of the public baths.
You mean baths or brothels?
Isn't it the same thing?
Another drop
So
of
the
wine.
cleanliness
Don't
of the
make me
city
beg.
is not what it should be. The current baths in the city fall far short of covering all the
apologise,
citizens'
sir.
needs.
Which wine?
White. Tokai.
Adam also bought the new bathhouse on Hopbrink. Eddie's out of business. But the baths are nice. I hope Adam can keep them running.
Aye.
Sir?
But it's going to take time to turn it into a decent establishment. You'll also need some money to run them.
Drunk,
Then let him raise the prices. Those who can't afford it should wash in the river.
Hey,
It's in
waiter.
the interest of the whole city. The need for cleanliness and citizens' health should not be underestimated.
Nor overestimated. If someone needs to walk,
You there,
there's a
a
river
word.
just a few steps from the city
Is everything
wall.
all right?
No,
Certainly.
but there's
And
nothing
they
you
can
can
get
do
leeches
about
there
it.
for free
Come
as well.
closer.
And while he's there, a man can...
I need something from you. There is an item in my study that I confiscated from a female thief. She thought she could wriggle out of it by telling me who the item belongs to.
And what is it?
A silver goblet. She sneaked into Sir Ulrich's house and stole it. No one's noticed the theft yet. But if Ulrich finds out, he'll turn the city upside down to find the culprit. Go and get it. And don't you make a mess there, understand?
Where can I find this goblet?
Use your eyes and come right back with it, understood?
Trifle, we wouldn't have to keep coming back to it.
A trifle? Do you ever walk the streets here? Sewage, rats, slop, and rubbish. The least we can do for the citizens is to provide them with a place to wash up.
What nonsense! Next, you'll want me to serve wine to everyone for free, too.
Why not? In Jerome Nars's earthly paradise, everything would be free.
Don't put words in my mouth.
Gentlemen, let's agree to disagree. What if the king heard us?
Nice. Whose silver might this be?
So, did you find it?
I did, Master Bailiff. Here it is.
Not so loud. Show it here. That's it. And now go back to your job.
Got word that Rutard has pulled off another deed.
That's nothing unusual. That old weasel will never accept that the city isn't run his way, at least until His Majesty honors us with his visit. And as we know, Gunslin absolutely hates him.
He can hate all he wants, as long as he does no damage. Ulrich, what have you got to say about it?
I apologize, sir. Which wine?
Are you colorblind?
Horseshit!
White.
You know full well. Everybody knows. He wiped the floor with you.
Compose yourself, Adam, and stop drinking. The king might come any time now.
That's right. Let's not burden the anointed monarch with such...
Sir?
Me? Compose myself?
Well,
Me? I beg your pardon. I demand that you...
Ruhe! Franz, please continue.
I'm speaking about the Rutard incident. You were there, weren't you?
Oh, that. Just a small
Tokai,
misunderstanding.
and a full cup.
We've sorted it out and everything's settled.
My ears must
I
be
apologize,
deceiving
sir.
me. Are you
Which wine?
defending Rutard?
Tokai!
Besides, if his men attack yours, as I've heard, then we have a good reason to punish him.
What happened there? Leave nothing out.
I don't like Rutard, true, but in this case it really was
Sir?
nothing.
Everyone in the city gossiped about it.
Thank
I
you,
heard
waiter.
there were several dead.
Did you? That's grossly exaggerated. I don't think Rutard will cause any trouble. He is sensible enough not to draw attention to himself. While
I fancy some Tokai.
That's
Refill,
true.
boy.
Because if we don't do something about him, the king himself will put an end to him, and soon.
Unless he puts an end to us first.
Sir?
Knows what he wants to tell us.
If nothing happens,
Well, thank
there's
the
no
Lord.
point in dwelling on it. Let's move on.
Things have got out of order in the town. Some adventurers decided to take the law into their own hands and restore the tradition of duels. It's not only barbaric, but also illegal. If we tolerate this, the rabble in the city will go wild and do whatever they want. I suspect the gentleman from the city's sword-fighting school brought this custom to us. First it was the German Menhard who was causing a stir there. Now Nicholas runs the place again. This way, the trouble is never going to stop.
Don't be ridiculous, Forsucker. You act like you've never been in a fight yourself. You hear me? And to accuse a swordsmaster without a shred of proof. We're not some old fishwives on the marketplace.
So you will just leave it be?
Proven offences are punished by the bailiff. And that's that.
Refill, sir.
Do you think I come to the council just to guzzle wine? Come here!
Open contempt of the whole town garrison.
What can I help you with, sir?
I left my gloves in the chapel. I took them off to pray, but then I rushed here and forgot to take them. I can't just get up and walk out now. But if you disappear for a little while...
I really shouldn't, sir.
A fine servant you are.
One is left unscathed.
And you, a councillor, let people throw dirt on our work?
If I threw out everyone who complains over a beer, I'd soon be out of customers.
Ah, to hell with it. We'll never get anywhere like this. Why waste our time?
Careful.
Waiter, my cup is empty. Pour me some white.
I apologise, sir. Which wine?
Tokai. That's the white.
Good, sir.
That's the way. Good lad.
Since there is the eternal dispute over the cathedrals, the building of the church is dragging on, and in the meantime, they are calling diocesan pilgrimages to settlers, right under our noses. It's just
You
a
there,
village with
lad.
a monastery, and
cup
they
of
are going
bread.
to Mokarol mining
Don't
city.
you
Why
speak
can't we
to
build
me.
faster?
Which
Hire
one?
more craftsmen, start with night
Monastery
shifts.
Red!
Because those so-called craftsmen are a band of parasites. You pay them, they come late, or report sick, and if they do come,
Good, sir.
work is shit, and you have to pay someone else to put it
You,
right.
lad.
It's
You look
a
familiar
waste
to me.
of time.
Have we met?
I tell you, a waste of time.
Adam, don't interrupt.
I really couldn't say, sir.
Ranting.
I have a feeling I've
are,
spoken with you
And
before,
as for
too.
you,
Or with
haven't you
someone who
noticed
looks
that
a
the
hell of a lot like you.
Are the experts from far off supposed to work in a city under siege?
Besides, I get the feeling there's something other than the welfare of the city behind your complaints.
Oh, you do? Do you? And what would that be?
Like, for instance, that you'd like to have your own altar there?
So what if I would?
Hold your horses, gentlemen. That space in the side nave is mine.
Pour me red
The
wine.
hell freezes over, my friend. Your place is at least 2 steps behind mine.
A swordsmith dares to insult me? Ha! I think not.
Excuse me? You wanted to buy yourself
Sir?
an altar in the cathedral, just like you bought yourself a seat in this council.
Now run
How
along.
dare you? I acquired my seat for the services our guild provided and still provides to the crown.
Well, I hope you're not supplying equipment to the army. If that's all they have, they would be defeated by that bunch of ne'er-do-wells from the alehouse on Hopbrink.
What ne'er-do-wells?
Hey,
Those
boy,
wrestlers
a full
of
cup
theirs,
of
of
monastery
course.
wine.
People from the whole town go to watch them brawl.
Oh, this is news to me.
Because it has all been sorted out. Not long ago, the guards raided and threw them all out.
Come now, waiter.
Ah, yes,
I wanted
I
red.
had forgotten. What do we have to discuss next?
Thank you, waiter.
I'm telling you, something is being planned.
Oh, I doubt it. No one's gonna tackle Ruthard.
Azonal Tücek Össe, Elegiop Katonaikat, Ishkelkinek Utra.
You have nothing to fear. Not you.
Unlike this band of fools!
Come now, Father. Put a little life into your dying. Seen more cheerful priests at funerals.
I'd rather be at one than here. I hoped I'd never see this fortress again in my life.
Unpleasant memories?
You have no idea. I didn't part ways with my father on entirely good terms. 20 years ago.
And now you're 2 decades older and wiser. At your Ujit's parish, you spread the word of God to your flock, and you saved my neck and Henry's too. I'd say your father should be proud of you.
None of that matters a damn to him.
Who knows? Maybe that 20 years has changed a thing or two.
You know what? Let's drop the subject. Do you know any of the guests here?
Most of them I'm seeing for the first time in my life. It's a pretty varied company. We've had bandits, nobles, burghers, a priest, and even a rabbi coming together here. It's like the start of some joke.
Wait a moment. Rabbi, you say? The Kuttenberg rabbi?
Yeah. He came with a retinue. But for now, they're keeping mostly to themselves. Maybe you should go and welcome some of them. After all, this used to be your home. And you're a spiritual man too, so you should have something in common.
I wouldn't be too sure. But I suppose I can try. Who's that French fellow you brought here from Malashov?
The great Baron Brabant. Been everywhere, knows everything, and has the keys to half the kingdom. He's got more fairy tales than my old nanny.
Can he be trusted?
He's a blabbermouth, but a harmless one. Besides, he defended Kuttenberg, and you know how that went. If he were on Sigismund's side, he'd hardly have been locked up with me.
How does it feel to breathe free air again?
What can I say? You can never truly appreciate freedom until someone locks you up for a while.
Or until you become a priest.
No fear of that in my case. I intend to enjoy life to the full. Wine, women, and song.
What do you plan to do now you're a free man again?
What do you think? Get drunk, woo one of the local wenches,
and wake up in the morning with no hose and a head like a church bell.
Have you perchance forgotten we're supposed to be deciding the future of the kingdom here?
I'll leave that to the older and wiser. And duller.
Dear me. I'd rather creep off into some corner with a full wineskin. But I suppose I'll have to introduce myself to the rest of the guests, eh?
Indeed you should. After all, you are one of the lords of Rabosh.
Oh, don't start with that. I'd like to steer clear of the old man as long as I can.
In that case, you should sound out Radzig and Hanush and find out what they're actually planning.
Such rare guests. One wouldn't expect to find among Christians representatives of your community. I'm Godwin. My greetings to you.
Peace be with you. Neither would one expect a priest here. And yet...
How do you know I'm a priest?
It's not difficult to tell. After all, we have much in common. And we are both a little on unfamiliar ground here. I'm Yehuda, leader of the rabbinical court in the sacred community of Gutenberg. And this is Samuel, my aide.
Who would rather not be here at all. Why did we have to come here, Sadie? Can you not see everyone is staring at us?
Because we all need to help each other in this time of need. And why would they not stare when you are frowning so?
Do you want to make use of the council to improve the status of Jews in the city?
Not at all. However, we would like to give the council something it is sorely lacking. The situation in the town and the kingdom is unsustainable. The whole land is on the brink of destruction. You have men and weapons. We have the means to sustain them.
Why are you telling this to a Koimer? You wanted to deliver what we brought to the Margrave and quickly leave.
Everything in good time, Samuel. We have just arrived, after all.
Did you come to lend money to the lords?
Not to lend, but to give. Help given to the needy is repaid only by God.
You don't even know if you can trust them. With that money, we could have paid mercenaries ourselves.
You remind me of my young friend Henry. He's a bit of a hothead too.
Henry? That messenger of Radzig Copula?
You know each other. You're both around the same age.
That would be him. But we did not get off to a very good start.
Well, maybe you'll get to know each other better. He should be coming here later, by the way. For a young stripling, he's been through plenty. It's not so long since his parents were killed in Skalitz. He was supposed to become a blacksmith, and instead, he's roaming the world, risking his neck at every turn.
Wait, a blacksmith, you say? From Skalitz?
Aye, that's right. Did you know anyone there?
I knew of someone. A blacksmith by the name of Martin.
My daughter knew him most, and that is why Samuel is in this world. For our numerous sins.
Maybe he was my father, but he certainly didn't act like one. Ma raised me on her own.
And that was all for the best.
Why? He should have taken care of me, but instead he fathered another bastard.
Don't make hasty judgments. As far as I know, Martin didn't have any other children. At least, none of his own. He took in Henry and raised him as his own, on the orders of the Lord of Skalitz, Sir Radzig Kobyla, Henry's real father.
I don't care if he took care of 20 other mamsas.
That boy's bloodfather denied him, just like yours did to you.
A person can't choose their parents. And Henry only found out about it recently.
Enough. I'd rather have a drink. Will you have one too, Zayde?
For that, there will be more suitable times.
Good health.
L'chaim.
And who would entrust him without a coat of arms and it learned
Good health to you, sir. I'm Godwin. A friend of that lad you arrived with, Henry. We don't know each other.
Baron Vauquelin-Brabant, Chevalier d'Arezzo. The last of my line. I am a warrior, a traveler, a strategist, and also, à ma manière, a poet.
My word. Isn't that exhausting?
Mais non! And I'm glad to meet a new friend.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Baron. I knew right away we'd hit it off. How did you end up imprisoned in Malashov?
Ah, c'est une histoire compliquée. It was after I heroically led the defense of Gothenburg, and only lost it narrowly by an unfortunate turn of events.
That needs some explanation. What unfortunate turn of events?
Oh, misère. It is clear you have never been to war.
You're quite mistaken, Monsieur Baron. I have.
Ah, je suis désolé. This Bohemia is a strange land. I have seen farmhands, children, and even women fighting. But the clergy? Sainte Mère, do tell me about it. No doubt you fought on the side of truth and honor.
My last big battle was in Kosovo.
I've heard of this battle. Many great men fell there.
Aye. And it was there I decided it was nothing for me. So I settled down in the presbytery in Ujits.
Then, what are you doing here, at a meeting of opponents of the crown?
Ah, the Lord moves in mysterious ways. You say you're a poet? How about a verse or two to amuse us?
Jamais. Is poetry nothing but a fuss to you? Is a poet a gesture for amusement? I think not. To recite, I require the proper mood. And besides, few here would understand me.
Where have you been on your travels? Have you seen the ocean?
But of course! I was born by the sea. If you are interested in my greatest journeys, then I have traveled with a merchant caravan all the way to the Ottoman Empire. And if you are interested in my greatest deed, then that was perhaps saving the life of the King of France.
And you wouldn't by any chance know the Pope, personally?
Which one do you mean? I spoke briefly with Boniface IX when I was sojourning in Rome. A pleasant fellow.
How come almost nobody here knows you?
I am operating, as they say. Incognito. My great benefit is my strong connection with the French court. There, everyone knows my name. Here in Bohemia, I'm still building my reputation, slowly, but surely.
Dear friends and allies, in these troublesome times, you all know why we're here. The question remains, what to do next? Sigismund is facing troubles in Hungary, and here, too, he is up against resistance. He's a capable strategist, but a poor diplomat. Mark my words. If we wait him out until winter, he will leave of his own accord.
By winter, he'll have torched all our fortresses and carried off everything that we possess.
Are we seriously gonna wait and cower in a corner? Or are we gonna drive them out in shame? A few well-planned raids, and we could have him in our fists!
At what price? Have you got men to spare? Has any of you got men and money to spare?
We don't have men out there.
Yes, we do.
We do not.
Jobst is right. That whole sun won't fall easily.
Only we can't wait.
Are we to get ourselves killed?
End with nothing.
Friends, we'll get nowhere like this. Let's adjourn ourselves and try to think it through.
Well, that went just as expected. Good health.
And to yours. Could it have gone any other way when there's so many of us here?
I would have expected a bit more sense from Jobst, of all people. He made an amateur's mistake. But it's hard to be angry with him when he's trying to ingratiate himself with everyone. By the way, I'm John of Liechtenstein. And you must be Godwin, the son of...
That's not a thing I've ever boasted of. How do you know that?
I have my sources. From what I've heard about you, I'd judge you could be quite useful to me at today's gathering.
Is that so?
Indeed. And that's why I'd like to ask something of you.
It depends what it's all about.
A little delicate diplomacy. I expect we can agree that Jobst's plan has certain shortcomings?
That's a weak word.
And the way it stands at the moment, he'll never get the support of the council. But I have an idea how to change that.
Well, I'm curious how you hope to shut Zizka up and satisfy the ones who want peace.
We'll sit and wait quietly until Sigismund withdraws of his own volition, as Jobst proposes, but we'll be waiting in the military camp of our huge new army.
When Sigismund sees that, he'll be off to Hungary all the sooner. At a gallop.
Exactly. Sigismund's army is demoralized and weakened. And besides, he's running out of resources. He's able to tackle fortresses that aren't able to defend themselves. But he won't engage an equal force on the battlefield.
But he can't retreat either. That would be a disgrace.
And that's exactly why we'll wait until he's called back to Hungary by events there. For the plan to work, we need allies, their money and their determination. We've already set the ground for it. We just need negotiators who will push the right people in the right direction.
Are you saying you set everything in motion even before Jobst?
More like in parallel, but without his knowledge. If we find support and make it look like the whole thing was his idea, we'll all win.
Why are you doing all this anyway?
Because I want to put a stop to the senseless deaths, and also because I'm happier with Wenceslas on the Bohemian throne.
You've got an interesting way of approaching things.
You're certainly not the first to tell me that. I take it as a compliment.
I'll help you. What exactly should I do?
I'll give you 3 names. Botchek of Kunstadt, Hamann Alder, and Anna of Waldstein. If you can get those 3 on our side, we've won the day. Meanwhile, I'll take care of Jobst.
Tell me a bit more about those people, so I know who I'm dealing with.
Certainly. Who do you want to start with?
Botchek of Kunstadt. I know the name, but I can't quite place him.
That's just the thing. He's got massive estates, great influence, but he holds back. He doesn't play the big game, because he doesn't like to take risks. He always goes for the sure thing. But once he's made his mind up, not even a pair of oxen will hold him back.
Alder the Alderman. Wasn't he a Kuttenberg councillor?
He still is. The only one who retained his position after the city was taken. Only he's here, instead of cozying up with Sigismund in Kuttenberg. So his days in the council are numbered. But he'll continue to have a strong influence on the guilds and the rich burghers. And that's why we need him.
Anna of Waldstein. The widow of that rich mine owner. What was his name?
Wenzel Bartosz. And I'm not surprised you forgot.
I was quite surprised to see her here. Assemblies like this are more of a...
A male affair? So far, Godwin, so far. Anna is holding back and behaving like an exemplary young widow. But don't trust appearances. She's got claws, she knows how to do her sums, and she certainly has no love lost for Sigismund.
And what use can she be to us? Apart from her late husband's money, of course.
She's as sharp as they come when it comes to trade. And she knows a thing or two about diplomacy. There are wicked tongues that claim Bartosz acquired most of his wealth thanks to her. And that it was thanks to her that he died, too.
I'll get on it then. Wish me luck.
I wish us both luck. Before the day is over, the die will be cast.
Success to our plans.
Hey, innkeeper, that beer? Hey, where's that beer?
He's talking about sorry nags even when they belong to someone else.
Nags? What?
I'd like to check your horses out and see if they're as good as you say.
Pah, even better. But you won't believe it until you see for yourself.
And you might not believe your eyes when you do see them. Well, well, we have a new guest.
I wanted to...
You wanted to apologize for crashing into my home without it by your leave. Or to harass my guests some more?
I want to have a word with Older.
Well, I'm having a word with you.
I'll talk to you later, Father. This is important.
You're in my home, so you'll talk to me first. What is it you want?
Is that your...
Unfortunately. Speak up then. What are you doing here?
I came with a delegation from Sir Hanush of Lipa.
Is this a joke?
Why so strict, Martin?
20 years ago, he was nothing but a cheeky brat, only interested in wenches and booze. I got him a place at the Archbishopric to have some sense beaten into his head. Only it wasn't long before they kicked him out. And then I find out he's settled in some backwater parish in Sassau. But he took his boozing and whoring along with him, lost everything, and then came creeping home again. Huh?
Try saying it again a little louder. They might not have heard you in the outer courtyard.
You have the impertinence to show me your face after the way you disgraced our whole family?
You're exaggerating, like you've always done.
Me? Exaggerating? You're the one who turned my home into a house of ill repute. Your whores wandering around as if they owned the place.
Oh, actually, anything fun was strictly banned under your roof. But maybe you ought to try it yourself sometime. Then maybe you wouldn't be such a bitter old grouch.
You're dishonoring your host.
I can't dishonor someone who has no honor. If you had any, you'd be...
That's enough.
Christopher.
You won't get away with those insults. I challenge you to a duel.
I'm not happy about it, but I accept. This isn't how I imagined my first meeting with my brother.
Make room for us. We'll just settle a very private matter. It's an honorable duel, man against man. Stay back! Ah! Ah! My God, where did you learn to wield a sword like that? Father always said you were a good-for-nothing boozer. But you could teach sword fighting in a school.
I was in a war. Right after they kicked me out of the archbishopric. And you ought to know yourself. Not all the faults that Father sees are real.
Aye. Well, I apologize for going off like that. I had to, so that...
So Father would be satisfied. I know. Only he'll never be satisfied. The sooner you realize that, the better.
I thought he was the way he was because his first son let him down. And he hoped at least his second would become something.
Not at all. I remember him the same since I was a nipper. When I was 6 years old, I fell off a horse and broke my leg. He wouldn't talk to me for a week because I'd let him down.
The first time he took me hunting, he let me starve for 3 days until I was able to shoot my first hare.
Only 3 days? He got soft.
I always wondered who you were. There was never much talk about you at home.
Look, I really did fuck up everything I could. I brawled and boozed until they threw me out of my own parish. But now, I have a chance to put things to rights a little.
And that's why you want to talk to Alder?
I've got to get him on our side and to cooperate with us.
Aren't we all on the same side?
Maybe everyone's saying that. But it's time to put it into action.
After your encounter with Father, it won't be easy to get to Alder. Actually, I don't think you should even attempt it. Unless you want to anger Father even more.
What else can I do, though?
I'll talk to him myself. He'll hear me out for sure. But you'll have to trust me. And tell me what it's all about.
All right, then. You've heard Yob's plan, right? It's a nice idea, but we can't wait around without an army to back us up.
Only no one's going to pay for one, because that would be an outright admission of rebelling against Sigismund.
Alder's got some clout with the councillors and burghers who are loyal to Sigismund. If he agrees, they'll follow.
I expect Alder's not the only one you're after.
You got that right.
Leave Alder to me. The plan sounds sensible, and he's no fool.
I don't know how to thank you.
You can drag me to a tavern sometime. Pa doesn't need to know about it.
You're starting to sound like a brother.
Greetings. And with you?
Nice one. May I have a word with you, sir?
You? Anytime. With you, at least, there's some sensible conversation. Unlike this pack of conceited upstarts.
Young Lord Capon is finally free again. Let's hope he'll take better care of himself now.
He got a harsh lesson. But at least he might remember to lay off that tomfoolery of his for a while. But if not, war will make a man of him soon enough.
Do you think there's really going to be a war? I mean a proper one, not just sitting around and talking about it.
I sincerely hope so. Whoever sits around risks nothing. It's time to get off our asses and take action.
Have you got something against the Kuttenberg nobles?
Their forefathers lived up to their ears in dung. But thanks to the royal mines, they were born with silver spoons up their asses. And they think that can turn their blood blue.
But surely they're not all like that. And they are our allies.
Allies or not, someone ought to show them their place.
What do you think about Jobst?
Are you testing me? Jobst called this assembly and he wants things to turn out well. We have to trust him.
To turn out well for whose benefit, though? Some are up to their elbows in silver and blood, so others can live in freedom.
Better make sure you're among the latter, then. And in the meanwhile, help the former to keep their losses to a minimum.
Good day. Greetings to you, friend.
Godwin, you wouldn't be avoiding me. We didn't have much time for conversation on the way here. Let's rectify that.
With pleasure, sir. As it happens, there's something I'd like to ask you. What are you expecting from today's gathering, my lord?
Well, I have no great expectations. But, all going well, we may be able to establish some joint steps towards the future. As long as we proceed without prior agreement and mutual support, we will be very unlikely to achieve any progress.
I couldn't help but notice your son has a bit of a talent for getting into trouble.
To put it mildly, but not to do him an injustice, knowing young Lord Capon, he undoubtedly contributed to that more than a little. Although, if they didn't pull each other out of trouble, God knows where they'd be now.
Wise words. Still, Henry's come a long way on a thorny path. I trust you're rightfully proud of him.
You know, I am. And Martin would also be glad, even though Henry chose a different path than he.
May God grant him eternal rest. Where did you leave Sir Divish? Surely he's not too old to miss out on such an event.
Haven't you heard? Lady Stephanie is with child. No one even imagined Divish would produce an heir at his age.
As they say, it doesn't matter who kneaded the dough, as long as there's a pie in the oven.
Godwin.
Well, it could be a miracle. Praise the Lord! God be with you, noble lady. There's something I'd like to ask of you.
God be with you. What would that be?
Your diplomatic support. And your money.
No beating around the bush, eh? I like that. But what do you want my money for?
Margrave Yob's plan has some gaps, milady. We need to gather enough resources to...
To muster an army that Margrave can't afford on his own?
Christ! Be praised. You're astute.
I should say so. All sorts of people have their eyes on my money, and divining their intentions is a necessity. Although, between the two of us, it isn't hard to figure out what Liechtenstein is after.
How do you know Liechtenstein is behind it?
I know most of the people here very well. Many of them certainly have doubts about the Margrave's plans, but they wouldn't dream of stating them aloud. While it seems that Lord Liechtenstein, on the contrary, sees his opportunity.
I'd say you have a better nose for people than most of this crowd.
Not only for people, but also for good food and wine. And beneficial deals.
Then you're in the right place. This occasion provides all of those things.
The wine here is average. The cooks lack imagination. And I have yet to hear any interesting offers. So, to the point. What is it that Liechtenstein wants from me?
Nothing more than support and resources for an army to parley more effectively with Sigismund.
Nothing more? I'd say that's plenty. And why ask me for help? Why should I, of all people, take the risk?
It's not only your money we're interested in. You're well able to negotiate and trade. And if you were to take part in our plan...
Then I'd be helpful to you on two fronts. If you want me to support you, you must give me a good reason. Perhaps a favor in return.
Do you have something in particular in mind?
Well, one of the guests here has Something that shouldn't get into the wrong hands.
Who's that?
Harmon Alder. Now, if you were to switch these papers for the ones he brought with him, I would support your proposal.
I'm supposed to rob an ally.
Harmon Alder was given the documents to deliver to the council. He hasn't yet had a chance to look at them, so he won't even notice the difference.
All right, I'll help you. Or at least I'll give it a try.
Alder will surely have the papers in his saddlebags, which he left in the shed on the outer courtyard. Bring them to me, and put these there instead. But watch yourself. Odoran's groom has eyes everywhere.